Hi, family. My name is Darius, Mary's son, child of the highest. I love the Lord. When we were in school, and even today in school, they teach or they taught that during the month of February, that the people that had darker skin were slaves and that they came from Africa. Why did they give us this inside the school system? What was the point? What was the reason for it? Was it to help us to become better and to grow into more productive people? Or was this to bring up people to a place where they would not look at where they were from or and discover the greatness of their past? So the story was that we came from Africa and that we were slaves and we picked cotton and they came to the land and there was nothing here and no one except for the Indians. And then, you know, all of a sudden all this stuff is built up and everything's going and, all these uh, great inventions are coming along. And then all of a sudden it's the Civil War now. And then the Civil War, we got to fight, and because some other people are coming over to the land and saying that they want to take it over now, because the other ones that already came over prior to that as fugitives on the ships that they were paid by the queens and kings to come over to this land to exploit. They were already here and they had already established their colony and they didn't want to give it up. So now it was the American against the British, stuff like that. And you had all kind of different wars. All right. So I said all that to say that that story that they gave us is um, is a fantastic story. And if that story is to be taken as true, and they have put it in our schools and to the system as if it is true, then what was the real purpose for us learning these things? All right. And if you want to know the real purpose for them telling us this, it wasn't to educate us on our history. All right. It was to prepare you to um, take the journey, okay, back to your own culture and your own understanding, which is not Africa at all. It's right here as the indigenous people of the land. All right, we were the indigenous people of the land, not the Indian people of the land, the indigenous people of this land. That's who we are, the Aboriginal people that was already over here on the land before the Indians got here. All right. Now, I said everything I just said to bring you to this point that they say they came to Africa, all right, and they got us and brought us back over here. Now, once we were thoroughly taught that, we were also taught inside our churches about Jesus and God and his will and everything that happened. Now, once we grow into what God would have us to know about his word, and we start to grow from drinking the milk and, you know what I'm saying, to starting to be able to eat the milk. I mean, going from drinking the milk and going to be able to start to eat the bread and meat, then what we realize is that when you get to chapter 12 of Revelation, it speaks about a war that happened in heaven. And that war that happened in heaven, all right, carried on down onto this earth. Then it speaks about in the same chapter that God made a special place and or garden, okay, for a woman and her children and her offspring to be. And when they created that great place for them, they were supposed to be there. They were supposed to be nourished and fed, and they were supposed to be kept safe away from all wickedness. Okay? Now, if we take that and translate that into the story, which we already know about us being from Africa and us being slaves and being brought here, then you go right into the story that you see about God putting his special children somewhere, and they were supposed to be growing and in the land and be protected and all these things. And then someone or someone's children, which would be the devil or the dragon or Satan, his children wanted to make war with those special children. And so now it makes sense that if someone came and stole us from a land and took away everything and took away our name and all these different things, what was the purpose and what was the point? And now you see the purpose and the point was that these people were the children of the dragons or the devils, and they came to separate us from the promise of God. And the promise of God was to let us know that we were the sons and daughters of God. And that promise meant that we had rights to all land and all other material that was natural to this world. Now, I say that to say and bring you to the point that once we go into the revelation and we see this in chapter 12, and you read this story and it takes you through and tells you about all these special children and this special place that God had and that he put his special children in and that they were supposed to be there and be protected. After you read that very story that's in chapter 12, you have to then go back to Genesis chapter 3 when the woman is in this garden of Eden with the serpent and they're having a conversation. Now this part of Genesis brings and comes into a full picture where we can understand where this serpent came from that's sitting here talking to this woman, and we can understand how this woman is able to talk to this serpent and all of these other things that we were not able to understand before. Who was the we and who was the us that was making the man at the beginning of the Bible? We understand where these things come from now. If we were to go into Revelation chapter 12 and read the beginning before Genesis, which was the war in heaven. So before Genesis, before anything came into existence, it was already a war in heaven. And this war in heaven is the significance of what everything that's going on right now is about. This is what we as a people have to come back to. No matter if we're in the church, the mosque, the synagogue, or any other temple, we have to come back to the understanding of unity, love, and oneness. Thank you for your time. My name is Darius. I'm Mary's son, child of the Most High. I love the Lord.